Now I'm going to transition to the next part of today's webinar, which is to introduce a new community engagement effort called Kids First Second Chance. So the background for this is that we all recognize that the value of Kids First data sets will be amplified as more researchers use these data to make discoveries that will lead to improved health and ultimately alleviate suffering for families affected by childhood cancers and structural birth defects. There are many researchers accessing Kids First data. Keeping in mind, again, that the Data Resource Portal launched just 1 year ago, there are nearly 800 portal users, and the Kids First Data Access Committee reports that there are more than 70 approved data access requests for the 8 released genomic data sets. As discussed earlier in the presentation, there are several NIH grant mechanisms available to support analyses of Kids First data sets. But NIH resources are limited, and many excellent applications go unfunded. For example, with that Kids First R03 PAR that I talked about, this has been around since 2016. And in that time, the NIH has received, reviewed, and made funding decisions about 37 R03 applications, 11 of which were funded. Of the 26 that were not funded, 10 of them were discussed and received an impact score during peer review, but still missed pay lines for the institutes that they were assigned to, because again, this doesn't come from Kids First funds, it comes from the participating institute funds. We anticipate that as more Kids First data sets become accessible to the research community, the number of research applications related to Kids First analyses will grow. As Charlene described, there are 8 data sets available now, but at least 25 more are in the pipeline. Meanwhile, another thing that emerged from the strategic replanning exercise that Danielle described is that external organizations are interested in working with the NIH to support pediatric research, and many patient foundations are strongly supportive of Kids First emphasis on data sharing and collaboration. So we've created a way that we think we can help connect organizations with researchers who are analyzing Kids First data, but were not successful in obtaining a grant from NIH. The way this would work is participating organizations would agree to be contacted by researchers seeking an additional chance for funding of Kids First data. So agreements would be established by signing a memorandum of understanding between these organizations and the NIH, which explains the roles of each of us, the NIH and organizations, in this effort. Meanwhile, researchers continue to apply for NIH grants to analyze Kids First data sets. For grants that are not funded, NIH program staff will help direct researchers to a web page listing organizations who've agreed to be contacted. It is then up to researchers to contact organizations and then provide summary statements from the original peer review and any other information requested by the organization to consider the proposal or even just part of the proposal for funding. From there, organizations would follow their normal procedures for receiving requests for funding, and researchers would follow their institution's procedures for applying for funds. We do ask that participating organizations commit their researchers to sharing data in a manner that is similar to the expectations of the Kids First R03. For example, Kids First R03 recipients are expected to be able to share data or pipelines that are created or used with support from those funds with this Kids First data resource. We can facilitate this by providing the language we use in our funding opportunity announcements and by sharing examples of acceptable data sharing plans, which we will make available on our FAQ page. And of course, the ultimate goal of this is that together we accelerate research and discovery and improve the lives of children and their families. This webinar today is essentially the launch of Kids First Second Chance. So in this phase, this early phase, we are welcoming participation from organizations who are interested in providing a second chance to Kids First researchers. The first step would be to email the Kids First mailbox, which is the same that Danielle mentioned, and then we can share an MOU template that outlines this agreement in more detail. Later this year, we will work with program staff across NIH to follow up with researchers who've applied for grants, such as the Kids First R03 to analyze Kids First data sets, but were unsuccessful, to make them aware of the list of organizations that the researchers can contact for a second chance. This week, we launched the webpage on the Common Fund, Kids First Common Fund website, where we explain Kids First Second Chance and where each participating organization will provide their contact information. I will actually switch to that. So this is the webpage where we just describe what this is. And we already have had one organization sign on to participate, but we are certainly ready for more, and we are happy to answer any questions about this at any time.